But our next guest, he's one of the hosts of FireSide Yankees, which is a part of the Empire Sports Media, and he's been covering the Yankees very closely. I think it's time. We're new friends. We're new acquaintances. Welcome to the program, everyone. Mr. Ryan Garcia.
Hey.
Ryan.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me on.
How are we doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I mean, this is a very exciting week for baseball. I know that this weekend series, obviously, you have the Phillies and Orioles playing, and for lack of better terms, the Orioles they did a lot to Zach Wheeler yesterday. So, they're definitely riding high coming into this series. And, the Yankees playing the Orioles. I view these as the two best teams in the American League. You have the two best home run hitting offenses, the two best ERAs, right? Like, this is star power, like some of the two MVP front runners in Judge and Henderson, Witten and Soto, I think are like that third and fourth, kind of wherever you want to order them there. But it's an exciting week for baseball. These are the two best teams in the AL clashing it for an AL East battle.
Yeah, and right now, what stinks, at least I know Oriole fans will go, well, why do the Yankees have to be so good this year? Well, because the Orioles would be in first place in every other division. That's the thing. The Orioles are tied for the second best record with the Philadelphia Phillies now. But you know what? I like when the Yankees and Orioles are good. The rivalry's back, ladies and gentlemen. It is back in full force. So I think baseball is better. I know the Red Sox and Yankees, it's fun. It's exciting. It's not fun when the Red Sox beat the Yankees, for you guys at least. It's fun for Orioles fans. I think they really enjoy that. But in general, the game is better. So let's just kind of dive into this. I think one of the biggest things that people want to know here, and it kind of has to do, let's start on the pitching side. There's one headline I think we're kind of wanting to know about. Think you have an idea what I'm talking about. There's one starter that's looking to make his return for the New York Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett Cole it's either Garrett Cole or Cody Poteet on Wednesday. And, again, no disrespect to Cody Poteet. He's done a great job in the spot starter role. But I think if you're a Baltimore Orioles fan, you're not looking at Cody Poteet the same way you're looking at Garrett Cole. There is a lot of buzz about him potentially coming back. The only thing is he hasn't completed 5 full innings in any of his minor league rehab starts. So the pitch count is probably there for him to come back. But I wonder if the Yankees want him to, I wonder if they want him to kind of build up to that point. Now, from an Orioles fan perspective, how does that change your look on this series in terms of where having Cole versus having Poteet on the mound?
Well, I mean, it's definitely advantage Yankees if Garrett Cole's on the mound, just if you're going off the matchups. Not that the Orioles don't have the starters with it. It's a bigger boost for their lineup, right? And again, correct me if I'm wrong, then Thursday, Luis Hill is throwing, and he's been dynamite. So when you're looking at it, the Orioles just threw Corbin Burns, Grayson Rodriguez, Kyle Bradish. Now we know the situation with Kyle Bradish. We'll dive into that later on. But that's where it looks like it would swing in the favor. And I think, fair to say, you getting your ace back, I think, would be a huge boost for a Yankees team that's kind of had trouble beating the Orioles as of late.
Absolutely. I mean, the Orioles are just so well built to be top. Not that they can't handle bad teams, but they're so well built to handle the best of the best because, they're just relentless in the zone. You don't feel like you can attack them in zone and get ahead because trying to do that, well, Gunnar Henderson will take the first pitch in a game and it's 1-0 Orioles, right? We kind of saw that with Clark Schmidt earlier in the year where Schmidt I think he's down in the counter. He's up 0-2. I forget what exactly it was, but curveball down and in, a pitch that you think you can get a swing and miss on, and he just puts it 400 feet into right field. And now you're like, oh, well, now I'm down 1-0. And then the Orioles starting pitching, I mean, they have the second best ERA in baseball, that entire pitching staff. You can't just expect that you go down 1-0 and you're just going to put 2 up in the next inning. So it's a scary situation for Yankee pitching where you have to figure out a way to set up the Orioles to chase. But even when they chase and hit the ball hard, like Anthony Santander, it feels like it doesn't matter where the ball is pitched. If you want to throw something to get him to chase, he's going to just hit it 400 feet to right field or left field. So they're just a relentless lineup. Having Garrett Cole definitely changes the feel of the series.
Yeah, and you know what we're looking at? Zach's over there shaking his head yep, that makes sense right there. Yeah, we all agree. And actually, we're going to have a breakdown probably later on. We won't have enough time for the show. And I think a lot of people in Baltimore are going to be maybe shocked, surprised, or maybe they expect it on Anthony's latest tear. The circumstances where the pitchers are located, it's fascinating. But Zach, we talked a little bit about this Orioles lineup, or Ryan did. R squared, by the way. Shout out you, Ryan, and Ryan. Zach, let's talk a little bit more about that Yanks lineup.
Yeah, Ryan. So obviously, like you kind of said to start Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, it's the two big names in the Yankees lineup that everyone kind of gravitates towards. And when you're looking ahead to a series, you're like, okay, we can't have Judge and Soto be the two to beat us. Let someone else beat you. In your mind, who are those like unsung heroes that maybe isn't getting the national attention that they should be, but is going out there and really helping the Yankees day in and day out in the lineup?
Yeah, so kind of out of nowhere, Jose Trevino has a 119 WRC plus. He's slugging 451 with 8 home runs, which from your catcher, you'll certainly take that. He's been an above average hitter, not just for the position, but as a whole. And then just for Stanton, it feels like it's an every other week thing. Like one week he is just swinging at sliders down the way, like that Dodgers series, right? Goes over 13. It's like, what are we doing? And then he'll have tears where he will put a ball just into orbit and change the dynamic of a game or a series. And that's the impact of Stanton. Like Stanton he's a frustrating hitter to watch hit, but there's also that he has a takeover effect that not a lot of hitters have. Verdugo can have some big games. He's a tough at bat because of the contact. Volpe's improved with the contact rates in that regard as well. The real question is, what are you going to get from the infield for the Yankees? Because it's been a problem. Like LeMahieu hasn't hit, Torres hasn't hit, Rizzo hasn't hit, and Rizzo might be hurt. He exited the game yesterday with a wrist thing. I wonder what the Yankees do there. So right now for the Yankees, it feels like if there is they win games when one other guy just has a game, and they have guys who are capable of doing it. Especially again, like Stanton has that takeover effect. So I would say Trevino's kind of that underrated guy, and Stanton's just that wild card. It's one week he's great, one week he's kind of extremely easy to hit.
Yeah, with Stanton, I mean, like you nailed it. There are games where you watch and he swings at 4 sliders in the other batter's box, and you're like, what are you doing? And then there are games where 3 of his 4 at bats, he puts a ball 450 feet in the air. And you're like, how is that the same batter that was there yesterday? He's one of those hitters where he can change a game, but then also when he's not going right, you're like, man, like what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, look, it's funny. These lineups, they're both, as we know, for people that don't know, I'll tell you that here, the Orioles and Yankees are the 2 top teams at balls leaving the ballpark. Orioles first, Yankees second, right? And then the Orioles and Yankees, as far as RBIs, they're at the top of the league. The biggest difference is the Yankees are going to walk more than the Orioles. The Orioles don't walk. It's evident. The Orioles can hit the shit out of the baseball, but they are not a team that's going to walk a ton overall. But veteran lineup where you're trying to get some consistencies out of guys like Stanton, but you still have Aaron Judge right now might be better than Barry Bonds on steroids at the moment. Like there's an argument you can have right now.
Jesus.
It's true. The guy,
I know, but it's hilarious.
It's unbelievable what he's doing. And then you have Juan Soto, obviously, in this whole situation. So it's the veteran lineup with superstars versus the young lineup with superstars. And that'll be a fun little cat and mouse game, at least for pitching staffs to go about and how they're going to handle it. But Brad, we Oriole fans have really talked about what they think are weaknesses, but I think we should ask a similar question.
Yeah, Ryan. So pleasure speaking with you this afternoon. I just two things. Obviously, you kind of addressed a little bit about some of your concerns with the infield. I wanted to get your answer on that, if that is the glaring weakness you're seeing overall with the team, because I'm looking at the stats here on Tuesday night and it's not looking good for the Yankees. Giancarlo Stanton has the best average on a Tuesday night with a 250 average. And I just say that tongue in cheek because I always pick the days of the week and what players do well. And this is just so happens that he has the best average on a Tuesday with 250. Not great for the Yanks on Tuesdays.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, sometimes they'll just like wake up and kind of like not wake up. They'll drop the first game of the series, or like after a loss, like for the start of the year they were undefeated, and like sometimes they'll just like now lately it's like they'll lose and then win and then lose. It's weird. But the biggest concern for me, obviously, infield's a problem. I think I have an issue with where the bullpen is because they don't get swings and misses. And again, we talk about that Baltimore lineup. They'll kill you in zone. They will murder you in zone. So if you're going in zone and you're not getting swings and misses, you're inducing contact. You're allowing the team to make contact. You don't want to let the Baltimore Orioles make contact. Like when they make contact, bad things usually happen for a pitching staff. They lead, the Yankees and the Orioles are first and second in barrels this year. As you mentioned, the Orioles lead all of baseball in home runs. They have really good left-handed hitting. So again, kind of talking not even just about our Gunnar Henderson, but a Ryan O'Hearn. I know we talked about Anthony Santander's a Yankee killer too. Like that guy just always gets us going. I know like Mullins hasn't necessarily hit well, but all it takes is him getting a hold of one and getting a ball in play to right field. And now you've got a home run. And with runners on, that's a 2 or 3 run. That changes the complexion of a ball game, could blow a team out, could swing a lead dramatically in your favor. The bullpen doesn't get enough swings and misses. And against Baltimore, that is a really, really bad trait to have.
I love this insight right here, because when you look at it on paper, this is the part of it. We just saw the Phillies come in town and their bullpen has some flamethrowers out of the pen, right? The Orioles bullpen has had a lot of success, but they don't have the arms. I would classify the Yankees as having some good arms.
Yeah.
But you're right. The putting away, not allowing damage to be done late in the Orioles, at least last year, and we're seeing it start to pick up later in games, the Orioles seem to come alive. And for the Yankees specifically, they're going to need that if they're going to be able to keep this lineup down. So I'm very curious about it. You know what I'm also curious about is you have so much in-depth knowledge of the Orioles, which is fantastic. Again, Ryan Garcia with FireSide Yankees, and this is why we're bringing him on, because he might know the Orioles better than us at this point in time right now. And I love it, but it just goes to show you can not be a quote-unquote fan of the Orioles and still have an understanding. And Kevin, is that kind of going on? Like people outside of Baltimore still are following this team?
Right. Yeah, Ryan, I'm curious because we know how tight this division race is. We know the divisional rivalry here. And you mentioned it with Mullins and some of the zone with the Orioles. But for a Yankees perspective, what has been, your observations of the Orioles this year, the Yankees fan base and their opinions on Baltimore this year? What's kind of that New York perspective on what Baltimore's done?
I mean, I think Yankee fans do view Baltimore as like they're the team to beat. They're the American League team where, like, if you want to get to the World Series, it goes through Baltimore. And personally, from like my own perspective, Baltimore is an extremely well-ran team. Like, they're an extremely smart team. They're at the cutting edge of analytics and data. And they're also, I feel like, they do a great job of making sure that they have still people that can relate to players. And I feel like that's important, right? Like, you can't just have data just relayed to players without proper communication. I think the Orioles have kind of mastered the art of all of these intuitive things that go into coaching and scouting and analytics and just combining all those things. They bring up young talent, these young players. They've won at the minor league level. They've won together, so they're comfortable winning together at the major league level. They feel like a team that they're a young team, but they feel like a team that's been around forever. And that's because they've won so much at the minor league level. They're just so well built from top to bottom. And it's not like they're out of minor league talent, right? Like Samuel Vasallo is one of, if not the best, I think he's the best catching prospect in baseball. So they're set up to trade at the deadline or just call up pieces if they need to. Kerstad, Nail, like wherever you want to look at their minor league level and the major league level, they just have so much talent. So they're just relentless. That's the best way to describe them. They're a relentless organization. They don't run out of good players. They just keep coming up with new ones.
Yeah, you hear that, everyone out there? The Orioles are fine. The Orioles are fine right now.
I do want to quickly say, Ryan, I completely agree. I've said this for the past few weeks. It just feels like the Orioles and Yankees they're going to meet in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and it's going to be
clash.
destined to clash in the playoffs. And that's like the rite of passage to the World Series this year. It just feels destiny.
And you know what's going to happen in this case? The Orioles are going to hit a fly ball. Or sorry, the Yankees. No, the Orioles are going to hit a fly ball. And a fan's going to reach over and catch it, and it's going to be ruled a home run. Even though we have everything nowadays to review that and change it, wouldn't have been nice way back in the day. But honestly, that was that moment. Everyone remembers the rule of Banez, unfortunately, off Jim Johnson in the playoffs.
It's a curse.
Woof. But